On Details at 11 Media, we sit down with Mr. and Mrs. Reed, a serodiscordant couple whose journeys with and without HIV has redefined what resilience, compassion, and hope truly mean. Join us as they open up about the diagnosis that changed everything and the love that held it all together.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Reed.
Hello.
Tell me about your journey in your love life and how we came to be on Details at 11 Media podcast.
Well, we had 2 children.
Yes.
I said that factually. We met at work. Things just blossomed from there. I mean, we really didn't really be serious for a long time. But then, well, she didn't want to commit.
Oh, she didn't want to commit.
Well, first, he was a butt. So he actually was like, I don't want to get married, which was cool with me because I didn't want to get married. A lot of the representation of marriages that I saw growing up were not of healthy ones or any that I would want to commit to. So it wasn't a goal of mine. And then after my diagnosis, I was like, oh, what if for like a few months before, depression set in, and then after that I was like, well, I'm gonna die alone, so marriage is over, it's done. And I was prepared to be by myself for the rest of my life.
Oh, so you were diagnosed before you all were married?
Yes.
Okay. How did you handle your diagnosis?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I avoided it for a very long time. My husband actually has loved me through all of those stages of me coming to terms with it, coping, finding myself, loving myself, like losing life and kind of coming back to life, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You need to ask him that question. How did he cope?
Okay, Mr. Reed. So now the ball's in your court. How did you handle your soon-to-be or girlfriend's diagnosis at the time?
Well, it was a shock because it was, all new really at the time, or it was pretty much termed as being political, but it was viewed as a gay disease.
Absolutely.
So, for her to have it and knew she wasn't gay.
Yeah. It's okay.
It was just something to come to grips with.
Yeah.
I just didn't look at it as necessarily a death sentence, but just loved her for who she was and just, went on from there.
What made you pursue the relationship after that? Because there's a lot of men out there who are like, I would never be with a woman who is HIV positive or let alone have children with her. How did you overcome those barriers, knowing that the stigma, as you just mentioned, exists in our society?
I honestly didn't think about it.
Okay.
As far as children, I had already had 3 from a previous relationship, and then we had Michaela, so that made 4. So I didn't really plan on having any more children. So that was kind of an easy one for me there. But I never really thought about it. I never really harped on it.
Yeah.
I may have just suppressed it or something, or mentally just, compartmentalized it, set it there, and she never really discussed it or talked about it. So.
Okay. Diagnosed, you told Mr. Reed, and you dealt with it amazingly, it seems like, which is awesome. Let's just hit on that one. What message do you have to say to other men out there who may be, having apprehensions about dating a beautiful, dynamic woman such as Mrs. Reed here? What would you have to say to them?
Don't be afraid. They have come a long way as far as with medicine and research in regards to HIV, and the way we were able to have a child was because our levels being so low or really undetectable. And I also was, is taking Truvada. So there is ways that you can protect yourself and still love at the same time. So I say love conquers all. If you really truly love that person, no matter what ailment they have, you're going to stick with them. So that was just pretty much it.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Reed. And if you can just educate our audience about, really quickly, what is Truvada? What is that?
Truvada is a drug that I take once a day in regards to HIV prevention. And it's easy.
That's fine. That's fine.
I've been using it and it works. So.
Yeah.
But I am also U equals U, so.
What is that, Mia?
I am undetectable, so most people call it the virus, but it's just HIV to me. It's untransmittable, so it's not enough in my bloodstream to transmit to Mr. Reed during sexual intercourse without any barrier methods.
And you all are considered a what type of couple?
They call it SERO discordant, and it
And
took me so long to even be able to pronounce the box I was putting.
So can you please inform us, what is a SERO discordant couple?
A SERO discordant couple is where, like me and Mr. Reed, where I am living with HIV and Mr. Reed is not living with HIV, and we are happily ever after together as one.
Yes, I love the happily ever after. Yes, because there is happiness and love after HIV and with HIV. Come on. Okay, so have there been any challenges in family, at work, with either of you, as far as maybe Mr. Reed with you, with having a wife who is a PLWH person living with HIV, or Mia with you being a PLWH?
My family.
Okay.
I was closeted even though I'm not gay. My status was in the closet because I come from a very extremely petty, toxic family background.
You want me to keep all that?
Yes. And so I kept it a secret from them as long as I could, but once I started actually speaking and strongly advocating, I was like, well, you kind of gotta have to have this conversation with them. So on World AIDS Day 2 years ago, I kind of came out of the closet, so to speak, and I've hit the ground running. So I had the conversation with my family, and everybody took it well, but my brother, and we don't talk no more, so it didn't go so well, and it has not went so well ever since. And I expected to face adversity. I just didn't expect it to be so close.
Yeah. How was it with you giving birth to your most recent baby? Well, 3 years now, right? She'll be 3. How was it with you, like with medical staff dealing with your status? Were they sensitive, insensitive?
No, a lot of them actually, can I say ignorant? They were ignorant to it.
You can.
If I didn't say nothing, they didn't like see it on my chart, so they wouldn't take necessarily precautions. Like I had to make sure you put your gloves on. I know you're just doing this right quick, or you're making sure I have my medication with me because I have to bring it to me. Not every hospital carries it with them in the pharmacy, so you have to bring it with you if you're gonna spend the night. And then I couldn't breastfeed, which I could actually, but
Can you talk about that a little bit?
So I'm gonna say, in my opinion, we always could. There are other places, other spaces outside of the United States that women living with HIV breastfeed successfully with 0 to no transmission rate from mother to child. But here we couldn't. Like if we said that we want to, there has been women that were prosecuted and charged with child abuse because they fed their child from their bosom while living with HIV, even though they were undetectable. And I experienced a little bit of that racism medically or systemically when I tried to breastfeed Malia after the pandemic. We had something really bad. I think we had like a flu, some COVID, and the milk bank that I was using stopped offering as much breast milk since I couldn't breastfeed. That was my alternative. And so then I tried to do it myself, and the only pediatric doctor here required us to get tested for HIV every 6 weeks, me and my daughter, even though I was undetectable the entire time. And now my daughter has a trauma with doctor's offices, also with the needles, because it was unnecessary. I've never had a spike during treatment. I've never had any complications. I've never gone off medication. It was no reason to treat me so harshly just trying to breastfeed. And even now, a lot of women are not finding support, like people that actually support and information to support living with HIV while breastfeeding.
Wow, how was that for you mentally, emotionally?
I would cry, honestly. There were many times that, as a Black woman, we are always have a stigma of being strong, but we cry in the shower a lot.
Yeah.
That's why y'all don't see us cry, and that's why we have the appearance sometimes of being strong. You don't see us cry, but I used to cry. Like, I eventually stopped going, and we took my baby off of milk, and now she doesn't even drink milk at all.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that is a tough situation to go through, as parents, to have someone tell you how to feed your child, your own child, How was that for you, Mr. Reed?
Well, I did want to breastfeed because I felt, or I feel that breast milk kind of, gives them children some type of advantage, whether it's brain stimulation or just overall motor skills, things like that. So when they gave us that opportunity, I was excited and willing to give it a shot. So sometimes they would have the little logistics issues, but normally it came like clockwork, and she never really missed a meal, which was the goal because she would eat all the time.
Yeah.
So well, it was pretty, I want to say, I was satisfied that there was an avenue that we could take to
meet the need.
Have you been able to educate the doctors or staff from the clinic that was having maybe some reservations about you breastfeeding on your own?
So no, not at that clinic. we went back from that specific clinic where she was to the clinic that I was going to with my oldest. And we go through care there, and we don't have any issues, but I don't breastfeed anymore. She's 3, so
Yeah.
that also is over, but I don't face any stigma or harsh, I want to say, penalties because of that either.
Well, it's really interesting that women have actually been prosecuted because they chose to breastfeed their own children when they are undetectable. Like that's sad. Mr. Reed, so what has been some challenges or maybe some barriers that you have faced, maybe at work or at home or in family, friends, in the community regarding your wife's status and your support of her?
I'm going to support her because she's my wife.
There you go.
I went through a situation with a friend who's no longer a friend because of her status, but I just look at it as, he wasn't really my friend to begin with, so I would say it was a blessing in disguise, really.
Absolutely.
Because, she my woman. Why would you what would the apprehension be, or attitude, or I was just shocked, really, like, wow, I never knew. But it's just hearing people talk sometimes can be challenging. Like, I overheard someone say that you can get HIV by using the toilet that somebody used, and I'm like, there's so many misconceptions out here, and ridiculous misconceptions at that. So, crabs, yes. HIV, no. But, I'm sorry. It just just irks me in regards to that. So, when you hear people talk, that may, determine whether or not I'm going to gravitate towards you or not. Because you don't never know who may be going through it, in a group setting, if you're just speaking about it. It just made me feel uncomfortable in regards to how they were speaking, in regards to people who are living with HIV. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't like it. And I just removed myself from the situation. And that kind of strained a lot of things in regards to work. The work environment was hostile, things like that. I'm glad I don't work there anymore, so that's also a plus. But yes, it's just really sad how people really can truly be, whether it's skin color, whether it's you living with HIV, or even having a disability. How people can just be cruel and not really realizing that, everybody's a person, human being that has feelings. And, it can be challenging, but I don't really focus on the negative too much. I just focus on keeping her happy, which is a full-time job. Yes, but I just want to give everybody hope that if you love someone, regardless of what issue they may be dealing with, if you love them enough, you'll work with them to work through it. Now, I'm not saying, domestic violence.
Hey!
Don't work through that.
Thank you for the clarity, Mr.
Right. But, things that that you can work through, just work through it. Because you never know what may blossom for you if you just have patience and, take your time. And you may be missing out on your soulmate.
passed out on happiness.
There you go. Well, Mrs. Reed,
Yes.
you were crowned Miss Exquisite Full Figure
Okay.
USA Michigan 2023. So can you tell us a little bit about that platform, please?
Okay, so my pageantry journey, briefly, okay? So I did outreach a whole lot. I did it, I can't say just Detroit, it was Metro Detroit. I did some in Ann Arbor, Ypsi, Jackson, Dearborn. So I did a fair share of outreach. I got a gift to gab, and apparently I'm a people person, so people like to talk to me too. And in that, I noticed some gaps in what services were available and who actually had access to services and who were unfamiliar with services that were available. And so when the pageant said, hey, you got to create a platform and you have to be passionate about it, and I picked something that was close to my heart, which was HIV. And I birthed Thrive, and Thrive is a platform dedicated to Black women and other women of color to help educate them and bridge the gap in resources to help them become sexually independent and responsible over their own decisions and choices, so that to kind of prevent what I went through. Even though I did some of the things that I thought was right, I didn't know about PrEP. I probably didn't get tested as often as I should. And so if I can prevent this situation from somebody else, I really am trying to. I'm trying to be what I didn't have. And it won me state championship. And it took me to nationals, and I'm only the second person in our pageantry history that has talked about HIV.
Wow.
I am the only one living with HIV that has used it as a platform. The other lady, mom, had HIV, and so she was passionate about it that way. And so I am the only one.
You're a trailblazer.
Well, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes,
I'm just me.
Yes.
If you woke up tomorrow and you had to get your leg amputated, and your love of your life had to judge you on whether or not you had both legs, would you want them to love you unconditionally, or would you want them to lose love because you lost a leg? And think about that, and then think about us. And as he said, you might be missing out on your soulmate, on your blessing, on your happy ever after, just because you couldn't get over yourself. Because it's really about ego, because the education is there and the protection is there, so it's not really a risk. That's what I would say.
How about you, Mr. Reed?
Just to piggyback off that, yes, there is protection. There are things that they have now in medicine today being researched for you to go, and all you have to do is just read, and it'll give you the knowledge. And once you have the knowledge, then the fear.
Don't just read on Google. If you have apprehensions, I used to take Mr. Reed to my doctor's appointments. So we would go to the ID clinic, and I think, didn't I go to one of your doctor's appointments to talk to your doctor about it?
Yes.
She didn't have that much knowledge, so that's how we ended up at the ID clinic. So that, they welcomed him. They was like, I'm glad that you brought him. We don't see a lot of this, and he got to ask every question he could have thought of, and they had answers and research to help put him at ease.
That's amazing. You guys should like do a workshop or something.
Okay.
Thank you.
He said you need to do a workshop.